Okay, so I want to tell a little story about this guy I used to know named Brian. Brian Ben Hain. Brian was a guy I met in Israel, in a lot, when I was working in hotels down there. We were working at the same hotel. It was called Royal Beach. We met up, and hit it off and became friends. He was a pretty cool guy. He was one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet. He was basically harmless. A pussy, pretty much. And he was rich. Well, his family was rich, and they bought him this $300,000 apartment in a lot. Now, most immigrants to Israel are poor. You know, they either live with a roommate or they live in like this worker housing, which is the benefit of working in some of the hotels. You work at the hotel, they give you this discounted like housing. You got to live with a roommate, but it's like $100 a month, and you can save most of your paycheck. And I did it. A lot of people did it, but Brian lives in a $300,000 apartment, pretty nice. Yossi Avrahami. It's the premier luxury apartment builder in Israel. If you live in a luxury apartment building, it's probably a Yossi Avrahami in Israel. But he was what you call like nigger rich, as the expression goes. Like he's got all these nice things, nice car, nice house, nice clothes, but he never has any money in the bank because he spends it all on all this shit. And yeah, he owns this million shekel, $300,000 apartment, but he's fucking broke all the time because he spends his whole paycheck every month. And the guy had no expenses. He had no rent, obviously, nothing. He was cheap and ate all his food at the hotel because they'll give you 3 meals a day if you want. Food sucks, but he was really cheap, so he didn't want to buy groceries. This guy was so cheap that he didn't want to pay for gas for his fucking stove. I'm over his apartment one night. I swear to God. I'm over his apartment and I feel like cooking something. I'm like, yo, let's cook. I'm going to cook for us. One of the few things I knew how to make. Whatever it was. He's like, oh, you can't cook here. Why? I don't have any gas. You don't have any. What do you mean you don't have gas? Oh, I never paid the gas bill because I don't want to spend the money. You live in a $300,000 apartment and you don't want to pay for gas, you fucking cheapskate. And he didn't want to turn on his air conditioning for 5 minutes because he didn't want to pay, an air conditioning bill, even though it's like 118 degrees in a lot in the summer. And I'm sitting there, right, it's really hot. Your air conditioner on? No. Why? Oh, it's like expensive. Brian, you have guests over and it's 118 degrees. You might want to make them feel comfortable by turning on the AC. Oh, I can turn it on for like 10 minutes. No, Brian. As long as I'm in this apartment, you're going to keep the AC running or I'm going to leave. And I had to like argue with this guy just for little shit like this. Cheap piece of shit. And I mentioned he was a moron. He's like an uneducated moron. Despite coming from a rich American Jewish family, obviously they're pretty educated and successful. Yeah, the apple fell way away from the tree because he was just so ignorant and stupid. Now, this is not a person who was worldly, who traveled a lot. He'd basically been to Florida, where he was from, and Israel, and that was about it. Yeah, he's so dumb. He didn't speak a word of Hebrew, despite living in Israel for about 8 years. I learned more Hebrew in the first 2 weeks I lived here, than he knew in 8 years. He just spoke English all the time, and he's one of these people that was proud of being ignorant, and was proud to not speak any Hebrew. Yeah, we all know that guy. Oh, and one of the dumbest things I think he ever did was this one day, he calls me up, and he sounds like he's tripping. he's just fucked up out of his mind. And I'm like, what are you on? He's like, yo, I think I took some ecstasy, man. I'm like tripping so hard. And he goes on to tell me he's having these crazy open eye visuals. Thinking like open eye visuals? I mean, I heard ecstasy can actually give you some mild hallucinations if it's strong, but not open eye visuals like he's describing. You know, things like melting and changing shape. You know, like that doesn't sound like any ecstasy I've heard of. Did this guy take LSD? No. Can't confuse LSD and X. Who would do that? Even this guy's not that stupid. Like, Brian, I don't think you took ecstasy, bro. You took something else. What did you take? I don't know, man. The guy told me it was ecstasy. It's what the dealer told me. And you believed him? Oh, my God. So I start, like, questioning him, trying to figure out what he took. And then finally, after a few minutes, again, I figured it's got to be acid. It sounds like acid. Acid's kind of popular in Israel. And, oh, man. Like, okay. All right. That shit you took, what did it look like? Did it look like a little stamp? Like a little mini postage stamp? The guy tell you to put it on your tongue and shit and dissolve it. Yeah, it was like, yeah, exactly. It looked like a stamp, man. Like, put it on my tongue. Brian! You took fucking acid, not ecstasy, you stupid fucking idiot. How do you confuse the two? They don't look anything alike. Anyone over the age of 3 years old can tell the difference. Even if you're a naive person who knows nothing about drugs, you know ecstasy is a pill, right? This looks nothing like a pill. Huh? I don't think this is ecstasy. It's supposed to be a pill. But this guy was so dumb he still managed to confuse them. And it was not like he'd never done drugs before. He did drugs all the time. Yeah, he still fucked this up. Oh, Brian. But like I said, he was a cool guy. I didn't see him every day or anything, but I'd always go over his apartment, which I referred to as Mar-a-Lago, because he was basically the richest hotel worker in a lot, you know, like Trump. Mar-a-Lago. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm coming over to Mar-a-Lago right now. He's like, yep, Mar-a-Lago. See you soon, bro. Brian Ben Trump. He took that nickname as a measure of pride. And I considered him a good friend. For about the first year and a half we knew each other. Until this American girl, this bitch named Logan, just out of the blue, moves to Israel, moves into his apartment. Within like days, they're in love with each other. And she still hasn't left almost 3 years later. As soon as Logan came in, it was hoes over bros, full tilt. You know, it's supposed to be bros over hoes, right? No, exact opposite. He immediately forgot all his friends. I ceased to exist. I barely saw him ever again. And Logan was like this control freak that didn't really like me. I don't think it was me. Personally, I think she just wanted Brian to herself 100% and didn't want any competition at all, even from his friends. So she pretty much drove me and everyone out of his life. And he kind of felt bad about it. We'd still hang out occasionally when she wasn't around, which was almost never, because they were together like 24/7. Neither of them had a fucking life. Neither of them owned a car or even a bicycle. So they never went out, did shit. And he'd still try, because he was the guy I'd buy weed from, right? You know, he'd buy off of his dealer and then I'd buy off of him. And he'd have to kind of sneak outside and say he was throwing out the trash to go meet me, because he didn't want Logan to know that I came over. And we'd talk for 10 or 15 minutes in the parking lot. He'd go inside, back to his fucking slave master. And, you know, I used to ride him about it all the time. Like, Brian, you're a fucking bitch. What is wrong with you? Where are your balls? Like, we were good friends for 18 months. And then you just, like, abandoned me and the rest of your friends. What the fuck? Like, why do you let her control you? It's like, man, I can't help it. I'm sorry. She's my girlfriend. You're fucking pathetic. Whatever. And at a certain point, I just gave up. I barely spoke to the guy in the last 2 years. It's obvious this relationship is not going anywhere. I hope they were going to break up in like the first month. Like I said, 3 years, still going. They're probably going to be together forever. You know, they both kind of fill a need that the other one desperately desperately wants in their life. For him, it's that he was desperate and lonely and never had a girlfriend. Not the most attractive guy I've ever met. Despite living in a $300,000 apartment, which in a lot should get you laid by itself. Since most of these girls are living with roommates in worker housing, you might as well be a billionaire. You got a Yossi Abrahami in a lot. He still had to hire hookers. I swear to God. Like, he'd call me up and he'd be like, hey man, I got this whore coming over. Brian, I don't really want to hear about this shit. No man, it's so easy. You pay him like 200 shekels for an hour and you fuck him. And like, it got to the point where I'm like, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear about it anymore. It's pathetic. How can you not get laid living in a $1,000,000 apartment? You are a pathetic guy. Yeah, she filled his need. And he filled her need of, I guess, some guy with money that was going to just pay for her lifestyle or whatever, give her a nice place to live. She didn't have to live with a roommate, because I guess she really hated roommates. And yeah, just the perfect match made in heaven. That again will probably last forever. And I don't plan on ever seeing him again. I'm never going back to a lot. No reason to go to that place. And I may never talk to him again either, but I just tell myself, whatever, was good while it lasted, and that's it. This is life. But, yeah, that is the story of my old friend Brian, the fucking cheapskate idiot who managed to mix up LSD and ecstasy. Yeah, what a guy. What a fucking guy.